Okay, so our theme is doing a task management app called ToDone. It's presented by Team 3, Preeti Anubulu, Janice Yu, Nima Kali, and Mark Curlin. So here's a table of contents of what we're going to be talking about. And for project summary, the industry is productivity and work tools. The topic is Smart Task Prioritization Assistant, and the goal is to help young professionals between the ages of 22 and 35 to actively juggle a mix of work-related, personal, and household responsibility daily. And for roles and responsibility, Mark is our UX architect lead, Nima is our research lead, and Prudy is our documentation lead and strategic, and Janice is the design lead and visual brand owner. For research, our primary research is the goal is to see how users currently organize and prioritize tasks, and also to find out the pain points in the existing task management workflows. And the research methods that we're doing is user interviews and the affinity mapping. Participants are 5 participants, 4 in-person interviews, and also 1 AI-generated interviews. Um, the participants are working professionals between ages 22 to 35, and the participants need to regularly manage multiple tasks, deadlines, and commitments. So here's our key findings. Um, Here are the 3 main ones. The first one is the emotional landscapes. So guilt, stress, and frustration often result when tasks continue uncompleted. At times, guilt produces the motivation to begin a task. And also, secondly, the topic is procrastination. So tasks are postponed when they're too heavy. Not doing them presents no immediate consequences. There's no clarity on how to accomplish them. And also, thirdly, prioritization is determining task priority is based on whether the task has a deadline, the consequences of not doing it right now, and whether completing the task becomes an emergency or directives from leadership. For secondary research, the goal was to identify how current tools help users prioritize work, emerging applications of AI in productivity products, common pain points reported by users, and opportunities to create a more intelligent and trustworthy prioritization experience. And the areas investigated are traditional task management tools, AI-powered productivity assistance, prioritization frameworks and methodologies, and trust and explainability in AI recommendations. And for more, I'll pass it to Pretty.
Okay, for the problem and the target solution. So young professionals struggle to decide what to do first when they have competing responsibilities, leading to decision fatigue. So we came up with a solution like a native mobile app which helps young professionals manage their varying tasks with more intention and less overwhelm, one step at a time. And to achieve this, we did some secondary research interviews with some potential users, and we sought to validate a problem hypothesis and generate personas, flows, wireframes, and clickable prototypes for the app experience. And the approach we took was through secondary research, competitive analysis, and discovery interviews with potential users. We sought to validate our problem hypothesis and generate personas, flows, wireframes, and clickable prototype of the app for the app experience. And to measure success, we considered the business outcomes and how we can measure success. So we wrote a short explanation or bullet points on how our solution will impact the business, and consider about the business outcomes and how you will measure success, and gave a short explanation on how our solution will impact the business, along with considering the business outcomes and how we will measure the success. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah. Uh, as part of secondary research, we did some competitive analysis, and we compared some common apps in the marketplace like Taskade, Todoist, TikTok, Motion, ClickUp, and Notion to understand how these top task management platforms facilitate task entry, AI integration, automate workflows, and prioritize tasks based on urgency, deadlines, and the balancing of professional and personal responsibilities. Next slide, please. Yeah. So we looked at the core features on this app, like the AI capabilities, the automation, and the user experience, and where it excels and where it falls short. So next slide, please. So these are the apps which compared, like Taskade, Todoist, and to understand how these task management tools prioritize task, user experience, and help with the work-life organization of the tasks. Next slide, please. So some of the gaps and opportunities which we identified was most apps organize tasks well, but they don't address the emotional side of the overwhelm, guilt, or avoidance. And the recovery support was weak. The AI recommendations often lacked clear reasoning, and many tools were too complex for young professionals who needed some simple clarity for daily basis. And prioritization was mostly manual, and they required users to assign labels, due dates, and importance to themselves, to these tasks. So some of the key opportunities which we identified was to create a supportive AI coach, which helps users feel less overwhelmed and more in control, and add a get back on track flow to help users recover from they missed, avoided, or stop their task, and include why this task explanation using a deadline, urgency, effort, and um, and then offer a simple top 3 priority plan to reduce decision fatigue and focus on the user's day-to-day basis. And we also added felt like energy and a mood check-in would be good to recommend task which would feel realistic and not urgent based on the energy level of the user who's planning to use the task management. Next slide, please. Yeah. I think this is for Mark. Yeah.
All right, so as far as our primary research went, we conducted 5 discovery interviews, as was mentioned earlier, 4 live and 1 AI moderated. And we basically were investigating 2 core questions. What does getting started actually look like? Is the barrier really just, completing the task, or is it planning or scheduling? And then second, what emotions are associated with complex tasks before professionals start them? And you'll see on the right, can we go back to that slide? On the right here is sort of a snapshot of the research interview script of some of the sections that we considered during the interview: the challenge of getting started, emotions around important tasks, and then current tools and strategies. We also considered at the very end to get at how the tools were actually performing well or not so well that they were currently using. Next slide, please. So based on the results of the primary research, we created an infinity map to get key insights around certain areas. And you'll notice 4 are listed there: task initiation friction, emotional landscape, motivation, and prioritization, as was sort of alluded to earlier as well. But you'll notice on the right, we decided to focus more so on the first 2 of those key insights under task initiation friction and emotional landscape. So we can go to the next slide now. So when it was all said and done, the research conclusion was this: users didn't have problems planning and scheduling tasks, just getting started on heavy tasks, which resulted in overwhelm and guilt when they didn't get started on those things. So we ended up devising two types of personas based on our user research. One was a personal task focus. The one at the top, Marie Lauren, was focused on personal tasks. And then the one at the bottom, David Chen, was focused on professional tasks. So those were the two keys. And you'll notice some of the core problems that they have there, as you can see in the graphic to the right. You can go to the next slide. So we decided to focus primarily on Marie, which was the personal task focused persona. And based on her initial or her existing journey map, we devised these results from what she was dealing with currently with the tools and processes she was using to accomplish her task. You'll notice three main areas on the right: awareness, decision, and engagement. Now, when it comes to awareness, it was about users realizing that they have a problem, and related to that and their feelings and thoughts, it was really something that was frustrating. You'll notice there it says, I have too much to do. I don't know where to start. So that was a frustration that they had under awareness. Under decisions, prioritized tasks or selected tasks, the feeling was sort of towards frustration, but not quite. But the thought was, I know AI has to be good for something here, but not sure what, of course. And then under engagement, start tasks and manage progress, another frustration. This feels too big. I need an easier way to finish. So those are just some high level areas that we saw how AI could particularly address some of these things. So you'll see that as we go along, how we try to do that. So let me go to the next slide. So we decided to have a scenario, and the scenario for that first persona, Marie Lauren, was tired after work. And in that scenario, the user knows what task exists, as we mentioned earlier, but low energy made the task feel overwhelming and hard to act on. And next, the key AI value is context-aware filtering. The app would respond to the user's mood and energy. Of course, it's talking about what we're looking forward to addressing, right? And then next, AI supports task initiation, where you focus on quick wins, low effort tasks, or one small first step on a heavy task. And then by doing so, guilt and decision fatigue are reduced because the user is not pressured to finish everything all at once and they're not overwhelmed. And then the outcome of taking that first small step is meaningful progress. They start with that one manageable task and they feel more control. So their emotions start to change, and now they're ready to take on more tasks and perhaps even heavier tasks as they complete one small step at a time. We can go to the next slide. So here is a task flow of scenario one. And of course, you can't read it, but you see there's a lot of extensive things going on here. And I asked Preeti, could you describe what's going on in this
Yes.
task flow?
So after a long work day, when the user is opens the app and is feeling mentally drained and overwhelmed by a crowded task board, the task management app is going to capture his mood and see that what kind of mood he is in today, and the mood is checked as low energy. So the AI filters the board into some realistic options like quick wins and low effort task, and then recommends one manageable task for the user. And once a user selects the task based on the AI recommendation, the AI further assists him into breaking it into smaller steps so that they can start with less guilt and feel some small sense of progress. So this was the first scenario we focused on. And the next scenario is, in this scenario, the user's biggest problem is a mental clutter where the tasks are not organized because they are still floating in his head. And this is where we thought we can use a AI voice capture. The AI adds value by turning natural voice input into separate editable sticky notes, reducing the effort of manually typing and sorting tasks for the user. So AI, it also helps structure the incomplete thoughts by asking him for missing details like the deadlines for and categories and urgency of the task. And this supports the user before prioritization even begins. And because the first need is to capture everything safely and clearly and to organize the task. And the outcome is that the user is feeling mentally light and with a structured board which they can review and prioritize later. So this is a task flow scenario for the second task. In this, the user feels mentally cluttered because the tasks are scattered in his head and it's too overwhelming for him to manually organize. So the AI is going to help the user by turning the natural voice input into separate editable sticky notes and ask him for missing details like the deadlines or urgency based on the categories it's sorted. And as a result, the user is feeling much lighter because the tasks are captured, they're organized, and they're also ready to be prioritized later. Yeah, next slide, please. Next slide, please, Mark. Yeah. Janice? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And for these signs,
I think we're losing that connection,
Yeah.
it sounds like.
Yeah.
um,
Maybe somebody else can take over.
so
Um,
She has control
we
for the slides, but let me see. Are you able to do it, Preeti?
will we will
the just Figma file marker. 1 minute. Yeah.
so so we
Yes, and
chose
um,
to
Okay. Uh,
I'm not able to share. I've sent the request to Janice. It's asking me to I sent a request for me to share because she has the permit. Yeah.
she has permissions.
Yeah.
Team 3, your 15 minutes are almost done.
Oh,
Maybe you
okay,
can wrap
okay.
up in a few minutes.
Okay, thank you. Um,
It looks like Janice is dropped off and probably going to try to rejoin here.
okay.
hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so what happened?
We're no longer seeing what
Okay.
you were sharing the slides.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So, what is the last slide that you guys saw?
We're on design.
Oh,
Design. Okay.
yes.
And then this is next. Sorry about that.
All right. So what were
So
sorry.
for design,
I think we have talked about the
okay.
wireframes. Yeah.
Yeah. So what you're seeing here are some mid-fidelity wireframes based on what you saw we uncovered with research. And one of the things you'll notice at the very top of this first screen, which is called My Board, it allows you to switch between work and personal tasks. And since Marie Lauren, our first and target persona, is focused on doing personal tasks after work, that's what we defaulted that to. And you get a list of the different tasks that she has to do over the next 7 days with the due dates and times for some of these things. The ones that are blue with the calendar icons also appear on the calendar, which you can later access. You'll see that in a later wireframe. You can also view all categories and tasks with this button. But if I were to go through and process updating this update portfolio, AI would get analyzed to understand the task details, assess the emotional weight, match with the energy that the user had selected, and then generate task steps. And then those task steps is what you see on the next screen. So it broke down the big task into little tasks, and they are only a few minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes. And you can pick one to start with. So I think we should just jump to the prototype from this. So let me see if I can share my screen for that. So you can get to see what happens in between these steps and why we chose those decisions. So give me 1 second to share. Oh, thank you. Let's see. Safari. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I apologize for the stuff on the left. There was no way to collapse that, but we can focus in obviously on the screen here. This is the opening splash screen, and at the bottom is a button that gets you started right away to see my board that we talked about earlier. This is the board by work and personal selected. The next 7 days, these are all the tasks that have to be completed over the next 7 days. You can scroll through those. We're going to select the first task, which is due today, highest priority. Tap on that, and it asks you a quick questionnaire. It asks you what type of portfolio is it. So I'm going to type in exercise. Ideally, you can type in more to get more better results. Continue, and then how are you feeling right now? Stressed and excited. I'm going to continue with that. And what is your energy level? We mentioned earlier was tired after work, so tired. Then it's going to start analyzing this task. This is what you saw earlier. And now it identified these task steps for this particular task. If I want to edit these, because maybe AI didn't get it just right? So giving the user some control over what AI generated, you can click on this toggle to edit, and these things are now editable. So I can go ahead and drag, for example, this one up. Say I want to do that first. I could also add and edit. And then if I tap on save here, it'll take me back to my static screen where the new task step, create case study online, is now at the top. I'm going to tap on that. Actually, first you would do this analyze step updates. So that would actually go first because changes were made. So I'll just do that. It'll just go through that same process you saw before. And then I'm going to select on the first task step, create case study online. Now it's giving me some task step guidance, some things I can do to get that done. So it mentions if you're stressed and tired after work, but still excited about your portfolio, it helps to focus on making progress rather than completing a case study once did it. And it says to pick one project in your portfolio, open a blank document, write down these 5 headings. So it's 5 headings here. And then under each of those headings, write 2 to 3 bullets from memory. So that's a quick way for them to get started on this heavy task updating their portfolio. And they can chat more with this if they like, or they can say they're done chatting or just want to start focusing on completing what they're seeing here in the task step guidance. So I'm going to tap on that button. And now it gives them, this would be 10 minutes because it says 10 minutes up top here. But just for the sake of this discussion, I made it less. So it's basically allowing them to still scroll through the task step guidance while they're waiting for this to count down. They can pause, they can resume. Um, and then after that completes, then it tells them, great, you got started on the first step. Time spent 10 minutes, step 1 to 3. Did they finish it? Done or not done? They go, not done. They can go back and continue where they left. This was start at 10 again. So you get the idea. So actually, I'm going to let this really quick go to 0. Actually, I don't think we need to because I'm going to show you the same screen. So let's go. Right. So now at this point, you could say you're done. And then that would allow you to go on to the next task step in that list you saw earlier. And we can go back to work. That's it for the prototype.
Cool. Yeah.
All right, thank you for the prototype. And for next one, I'm going to talk about design system. So the color direction is calm and intelligent, emotionally clean, modern and trustworthy, sophisticated but soft, and productive without pressure. So we finally chose blue as our main color. Here are primary colors, secondary colors, and also text colors. And here at typography, the font that we chose for the app is SF Pro. So here are different font sizes for headline, title, body, label, caption, footnotes. So I'll just pass it to next person. So Mark, are you going to talk about this, technical limitations?
No, you can go to the next slide.
Next slide? Okay.
Yeah. So just, you can leave it here. You can leave it there. Go back, please. Yeah. So as far as the next steps, basically what we would like to do is take what we've created when it came to the wireframes and the flows to get user feedback by testing those with users to see if it addresses someone matching the persona we were targeting, Marie Lauren, and iterate based on that. But the real takeaways we would want to get is whether AI was really helping or was it getting in the way. And if it got in the way, we would, of course, have to make adjustments. So those are some next steps we would like to take with the design moving forward. You can go to the next, keep going. Yeah, we sort of talked about that already. That's it.
And for the future improvements, we were planning to add some personal recommendations based on the past behavior of the users, their preferred work style, and recurring avoidance patterns. So the app could integrate with the calendars and reminders, and AI could adjust suggestions based on the real-time schedule changes. So these were some of the future improvements we were planning to have on the app. Thank
All
you.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that with me. Yeah, it was awesome to
Yeah.
see. The thought process and yeah, like can you guys talk about your overall design or AI tools stack? Like what tools did you guys use, or what platforms, what AI tools did you guys use for this end to end?
Well, a lot of the research and discovery stuff we used AI moderated tool, which was trying to remember what it was. It was Claude. Yeah, it was Claude. Um, I'm trying to remember. I'm so sorry.
I think for the AI interviews, you had a Wiser. We had a AI interview tool called Wiser and Maze. We did some user interviews on Maze. Uh, yeah,
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was
yeah.
it. Wiser didn't work right, but Maze worked better, so we used that for
Mm.
AI moderated interviews, and then we also use Claude Design for the actual wireframes and prototypes. And we also did some Figma Make a little bit just to test out how it went. But it was we decided to go with Claude Design. It seemed to be a little more reliable.
Okay, cool, awesome. Um, can we go back to the first slide of the primary research findings? Yeah, I have a question. Like, did you guys find anything on like what if the tasks were not, complete or like incomplete, and what do your primary users actually do after that? I know, I know you guys spoke a lot about, like feeling guilty, and feeling like all those different emotions when they, yeah, guilt, stress, and frustration. Yeah, because it talks about the emotions they feel, uncompleted and everything. So, is there any insights on like what do they actually do, even like like after feeling all those things? Because in a work or in a work scenario, you cannot not do a task, right? If it is personal, yeah, like you're not accountable to anybody, so you can keep procrastinating it, and nobody's going to ask you any questions. I was just wondering if you guys spoke to anybody who told you like what happens if the task is like being incomplete, even if they feel all these emotions. Were there any findings around that?
Well, in the research, we found that they when they had tasks that were overwhelming, they either delayed them at manager approval or they enlisted help to find someone else to help them along with that issue.
Cool. Um, and can we go to the metrics? Because I think I don't know whether it was a mistake because I thought the text was like repeated. Did you guys
Yeah.
forget to add the metrics there, like success metrics?
Yes, that slide, I think we kind of missed it. This one was not done because we just put the slides together before the presentation. This is yeah. I'm sorry
Um,
about that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
and that would come later actually to measure success as we got feedback from users on the generated design that we created. So
Yeah, I mean, did we think about KPIs? Like, hey, these are my KPIs if this app was going to go live, right? Um,
Yeah. So we thought we can test the two scenarios, like the too many task scenarios to see whether the AI sorting can help users choose a priority faster and make clear decisions of what to do next. And the second flow was the tired after work scenario to evaluate whether the energy capture filter combined with the AI organization and prioritization can help the user simplify the crowded task board with low effort recommendations so that the user feel more comfortable and willing to start the task. Um,
okay,
yeah.
cool. Can you go to the next slide, the competitors? Mm, next one. I think you had a big list of analysis, right? So next one, I think yeah. So did you did you folks check out a tool called like Goblin Tools or Focus?
Um, we just briefly did a secondary research on these tools. Yeah. Mm.
Cool. I mean, just for your knowledge, because there's a tool called
Okay.
Goblin Tools. It's not a pretty
Okay.
tool, but they do the exact same thing. So I was just wondering, like you guys might have like done some research on that, maybe, like bring some of the things that they don't do here. So yeah, definitely
what is
that's a
it
tool.
called?
That's
Called,
it.
it's called it's called Goblin Tools.
Oh, Goblin tools. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
I've never heard of that.
yeah. Okay, cool, awesome. Then what? So what is the biggest white space, or like one single thing that you guys found out from all these like competitor analysis, like this is the biggest problem that these tools are not addressing? Because I know we have the five key gaps and everything, like from doing all those like competitor research and looking
Mm.
at all the features and pain points and opportunity, like give me like your biggest white space area. Like, hey, this is what my tool should solve because none of the tools in the market are solving this.
Okay, so when we compared the gaps, which we found was the tools they focused on capturing, organizing, scheduling, or automating the task, but the biggest gaps was they were not able to address the emotional side of overwhelm, guilt, or avoidance. And like you said, the recovery support, like when the users stop a task or they're not able to complete the task, the they were not able to give that kind of support from the AI, which was just organizing, capturing, or scheduling. So apps this reminded the users where they are, but did not help them reset from their uh, the points where they were not able to move forward with. So those were some of the areas. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Uh, And like my biggest question to all these like YouTube productivity tools is this one: like, how do you like how does your design or your app prevents the user from ignoring the AI actually? Like because AI can do all the prioritization, it can like recommend me tasks, right? So it can do all this, like, but how do you make sure that users are not like ignoring the tool? Like that's my biggest question. Like how do we motivate users to actually use this app? Because you said
Um,
they're already coming home, like as you said, like they're like brain dead, they're fully burnt out. I'm coming back home, like
Yeah,
how
I
do you
get.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. So that was one of the things that we heard repeatedly in our user interviews is that task avoidance happened when there were large, heavy goals or heavy tasks rather that users had to complete. So in order to address that in the design, we took a heavy task and broke it up into small steps, and then gave the user directed guidance on each of those individual steps. And that really makes a simple, heavy task much lighter. And as you make steady progress on those small tasks, then your mood will likely improve and you'll continue to move on to that next task, that next step.
Like one of my feedback is also like I would have loved to see a day in the life of the user, how this app is actually like like driving them into doing that task, because I know we set personal tasks, but doesn't mean they are using this app only before going to work or after coming to work, after coming back from work, right? So I would have loved to see like how this app is actually preparing them as they come to home. Like, maybe they have to wash their dishes when they come back home like 7 o'clock, right? So is the AI giving me notifications, or is it like telling me like, hey, you have this task pending when you go back home, right? So like those are some of the AI features or some of
Mm-hmm.
the injection points that I would have loved to like hear from you guys. Like what is the overall idea on how this app is affecting user in a single day? Because like I think like I was like hoping to see like, hey, is there like some kind of like voice like command that is available for users? I think you spoke about that, yeah, but I did not see that in the design. So that's one thing maybe we can do it next time. And then again, as I said, are there like notifications or pop-ups which like asking me like maybe evening 3 o'clock, like, hey, how are you feeling? Are you good at work, right? So even before me coming back from home and being like that mood question being part of an actual task, it can actually gather it even before I start or I open the app, right? Like, hey, how's your mood? Maybe in the middle of the day, maybe at the end of the day. And then, by the time I come home, the app already knows what's my mood so that it can start giving me tasks depending on my mood rather than me opening a task and then giving my mood, right? So I'm sure you guys thought about it, but I would have like loved to see those kind of things there. And um, yeah, like, have you guys thought about incentives? Because these are like task-based applications which are helping user to complete a particular task, right? Are there any incentives which could motivate users more, right? Is there any kind of like social like sharing, like like Strava, where you exercise and everybody can see it, or like some sort of like social mechanism where people can like share their achievements, or like, hey, I completed 2,000 tasks this week, right? So I was wondering on like those kind of like thought process on like how AI can help. And then yeah, again, like the AI hand holding when the actual task is happening, is it just a simple timer, or can we do more? That's one thing that I would love to like like want you guys to think more, like how does AI handhold in certain tasks? Because if it is simple tasks, then yeah, it can break up well. But what if it is like complex tasks which AI doesn't know, like how does it hand holding happen there? um then yeah.
That's a good point because I was thinking that at some point, when you get your task guidance from AI, it could
Mhm.
offer things that are a little more easier to digest, like YouTube videos that gives instruction on how to accomplish that step or task, as well as other social sites that can help with that.
100%. Yeah, 100% for sure. And then in terms of like testing on a concept itself, I know you guys have planned to do the testing and stuff, but this is probably for everybody. There are tools like Attention Insight where you can upload a screen and it can just do a heat map analysis. It can just do like a, like eye scanning analysis of like, like how does this design might be like observed by the users, right? Which could help you like to improve the design as well. So those are some things that you can put as part of the case study too, like, hey, we tested with AI, right? Like not just uploading with Claude, but you have like other testing facilities too. So like again, these are points which you can like add in your next case study, which could like really help you tell a better story for sure. Yeah, overall, like I like the concept. Again, like thanks for sharing this with me. I think I also like learned a lot about all these like work stress and like why people are not able to complete the task. So this was definitely like super informational. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.